Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. How is everybody doing today? Welcome to Stu Queen's Thoughts. I'm Stu Queen B, and I thank you for stopping through. What I'm going over today, because we have been talking about mental health a lot these days, because a lot of people are suffering through it. Some are suffering through it, and some of them are suffering. It's hard for them to break through it. So, this is another segment of controlling anxiety. And excuse my voice. I was laughing too hard earlier, so it's a little jacked up. Um, but again, I appreciate when anyone comes in the building that they would hit the like button. I would truly appreciate that. And if you don't like it, hit the dislike button. It still lets me know how you feel. It also gets us back in the algorithm. And so maybe some other people can join us sometimes. I pray that everyone is well. I hope everyone is safe and sound. And I am sending my prayers out to a young lady that I don't know, that is a friend of Just Valencia. I'm praying for her and her family as well. Um, so like I said, we've been talking about emotional and controlling anxiety and dealing with anxiety and depression and stuff like that because a lot of people are suffering from it. Some are clinical, I do believe, and a lot have happened over the time since COVID-19 hit because a lot of people and adults and children couldn't function properly being stuck in the house 24/7. Oh, excuse me, I had to yawn. But again, when you're married, you don't see your spouse constantly all the time unless you work with them. Most of the time, you're away from them at least for a little while so you get a break, a little refresh, and you can reset by the time you go back home and deal with your spouse. But then everybody was stuck in the house together, couldn't go to work, or they had to work from home, so they still were in each other's face. So a lot of people have suffered from anxiety because of that. Me myself, I suffer from it with anxiety because I don't like being about a big crowd, too many people at one time, and now I have it. It has made it worse because of the car accident that I had. So I love to drive, but I'm nervous when I drive. But it is what it is. God to help me get over it, and I might have to force myself to get over it. So let me get on down to reading this section of controlling anxiety. It's called emotional or physical abuse. So turn that down for me. So if you can't hear it, sorry, my apology. Again, this section is about emotional or physical abuse. Trauma is a huge trigger for anxiety and can take many shapes. Abusive relations are one of the leading causes of trauma related anxiety. An abusive relationship is not always physical. Words and actions that do not lay a hand on a person can hurt them more deeply, scarring them and leaving them mentally marked that overshadows most of their life decisions, future goals, successes, and happiness. Emotional abuse is not talking about as much as violent domestic abuse, but sadly it is just as severe and damaging to most often. People in an emotional abuse relationship are not aware of how much hurt they are causing each other. As you would have realized by now, syndrome creeps up on you over time. It is not like the flu or a headache you suddenly endure and then feel better. Anxiety builds up and blow by blow, and it will accumulate in an awful episode that leaves you vulnerable and unsure about how to act. And again, I appreciate anyone coming to the building. Please hit that like button. It's like letting me know that you came by, and leave a comment down below. I would truly appreciate it. I'm over here beating myself up, y'all, so I apologize. Oh, this has been a day. Okay, emotional abuse is the same. It's it starts affecting your self-esteem, confidence, and courage until you suddenly realize you are devoid of all identity and self-worth. Go on, please. Negative actions, guilt tripping, and putting down your partner to control, scare, hurt, or manipulate them into how emotional. Ugh, emo- my bad. Let me say that again. Oh, I don't know what's wrong with me. Negative actions, guilt tripping, and putting down your partner to control, scare, hurt, or manipulate them is how emotional abuse works. Now, this section is called Obvious Emotional Abuse Tactics. You will be surprised to realize that you may be under the influence of some of these actions without realizing that you are dealing with a form of emotional abuse. Can you identify with any of them? And these are the main things. You have a partner used to put you down with little hurtful statements that may seem in and can my voice is tripping. Inconsequential, quintessential. Couldn't get it together. Still, they may make you feel low, unappreciated, belittle you, shame you, make you feel unattractive, tell you are incompetent, etc. Threatening unaliving somebody, or similar ultimatums to get you to agree, comply, or give up a goal, ambition, or a new move to leave a toxic relationship. Manipulating you, lies, threats, guilt trips, gaslighting, behaving in a threatening manner to instill fear. Okay, subtle emotional abuse tactics. Sometimes, break it on down. Subtle emotional abuse tactics. Sometimes emotional abuse takes place without the victim realizing they are being manipulated. Giving into those needs of the manipulative partner takes place because of the victim feels empathy, guilt, and love and does not want to cause hurt. Still, they do not realize the enormous emotional turmoil they bear due to being suppressed and made to live a life according to someone else's needs and rules. Can you identify with any of these subtle signs of emotional abuse? If you can, let me know down below. And we can talk about it on another day. Now, here are some more techniques. Threaten to walk out or drive away during an argument that crops up regarding a disagreement. Giving you the silent treatment, which can be traumatic, making you feel isolated, lonely, and confused. Restricting your interactions with the opposite sex because of jealousy and not trusting you. Spying on you by keeping tabs on you or your whereabouts and checking your phone and laptops. Frequently displaying of jealousy may seem flattering, but soon develop into red flags where you must display caution and curtail your friendships with people of the opposite sex. You might feel you have to hold back on your promotion at work or salary increasement if the jealousy stems from feeling inadequate. Holding you accountable for any misfortune or problem in the relationship or family as though it was your fault. Those emotional abusers. Emotional abuse puts you in a very vulnerable and mental unstable state. You are constantly trying to please your partner and prevent triggers that get the abuse going. You lose your self-confidence and live in an unhappy life, thus bearing a considerable burden while dealing with trauma, stress, and anxiety. Chronic stress is often a result of emotional abuse. Other effects include developing high functioning anxiety, PTSD, clinical depression, insomnia, feelings of frustration, helplessness, anger, and even resorting to substance abuse. That is the silent signs. If you see those signs in your relationship, get a hold of them and get away. Because that means that person got some serious issues. And hold on one second, people. I have to take a drink of water about to choke this. But again, I hope everyone's doing well today. And I hope that everyone's safe and feeling well. And again, please hit that like button. I would truly appreciate it. Now I'm going to tell you about enduring emotional neglect during childhood. These are some things that make people deal with anxiety, especially like, they say lots of times some kids build anxiety or certain stress disorders when they're younger. But lately it's been a lot more of adults. So this is things that if you have little children, these are things to look at. Your children, because school is tough and kids like to pick, and they don't just pick. They dig dirty on your family and talk crazy to people and have kids thinking about taking their own lives, and that is not safe or positive. So let me explain to you enduring emotional neglect during childhood. This may be a trauma or a traumatic situation that you lived through. Heck, it might be something I lived through and don't know. So let's get on down to it. A child who is neglected emotionally by their parents or caregivers often grow up feeling very insecure and with low self-esteem. Emotional neglect happens over time when a child's primary caregiver regularly fails to meet their emotional needs. Not responding immediately to a picture their child drew is not an emotional neglect. As a parent, only some can give their children 100% of their attention all the time. Suppose they don't make up for time away from attending their child's needs and avoids bonding, nurturing, motivating people talk, or reassuring their child's emotional insecurities. In that case, they will not meet their children's emotional needs. Not acknowledging a child's emotions and neglect and reacting, not acknowledging a child's emotions and reacting negatively to them, shaming them, and being aloof are all forms of emotional neglect, creating a pattern and a standard behavior of parents unable to care for their children's emotional needs. That's deep. You will probably deal with anxiety-related syndromes if you grew up under such circumstances. A lack of self-esteem, not finding a connection in your relationships, disassociating yourself most of the time, a limited vocabulary when it comes to expressing your feelings, feeling uncomfortable when it comes to emotional expression, being extremely sensitive towards rejection, and a high risk of developing an anxiety disorder. Emotional distancing is naturally present in people without without strong emotional bonds with their caregivers since child since since children learn emotional expressions by eliminating their primary caregivers. Okay. Post-traumatic anxiety disorder. This is another disorder. Because like I said, we're dealing with mental health this month. So, but we're going to talk about it all the time. As much as I can, I'm going to talk about it and give y'all some information because we all need it. And the reason why I do what I do is because we all need, sometimes we need a place we can go, relax, chill, listen to something positive, and be able to take that and use that in your day or pass it on to somebody else. I do this because I enjoy it. I do it because it helps me, and I do it because I enjoy helping people. So I pray that these devotions, the controlling anxieties, all the things that I cover, I pray that everyone takes them to heart, and especially people that are dealing with anxiety and depression and don't constantly always go to the doctors, or they do go to their doctors, but sometimes you still like to hear other sources give you information about it, if you understand what I mean. I have a psychologist, so I make sure that I'm doing what I need to do for me mentally. You just gotta realize if you ain't right mentally yourself, you can't help nobody else. I'm just saying. Let me get back to this. Again, post traumatic anxiety disorder. Why is my mouth getting so dry? I don't know. Excuse me for that, people. Okay. Anxious thoughts, emotions, and behaviors can prevail in adulthood. With childhood trauma as a root of the cause, witnessing and experiencing a traumatic childhood event can damage a young mind. It is difficult to overcome without proper therapy to heal, even at a later stage. Adult children who are trauma victims will continue to endure flashbacks and the mental agony of the events from time to time. Neglect, abuse, and abandonment that requires adult rationale and skill to deal with can be overwhelming for children. As a result, they may develop anxiety or anxious thoughts and find themselves confused in dealing with pain. Ain't no lie. Dealing with pain and guilt, they feel they are to be blamed for their situation. Children always think that they're blamed for something when they're lots of times they're definitely not to blame. Whew. Likewise, adults dealing with anxiety syndromes due to childhood traumas may display a helpless nature, a reflection of the trauma they went through during their childhood, and not one that accurately reflects their weakness and natural ability. Projecting themselves as vulnerable is a projection of the distress and feeling of helplessness they experienced as a child. Okay. I don't think I'm just gonna name it. Number 9. Other causes of anxiety, grief, social exclusion, and being bullied. This actually made me think of Martel Holt, but anyway. Grieving the loss of a loved one is natural and can be heightened if it is a parent or someone you were close to and with whom you had a strong bond. That said, it is unnatural to continue to grieve excessively about 6 months after the passing of a loved one. Such extended grief could indicate an anxiety syndrome brought on by an event that was too traumatic for you to process. That's why I think mostly children shouldn't be at funerals. I would say that part for myself. I don't feel like little baby children should have to be at a funeral. And that's my own personal opinion. Just my thought. Where was I? Where was I? Okay. Here we go. Social I am terrible today. Social isolation is highly prevalent in this time of social media, where everyone is connected virtually. Human beings are social creatures, and we need to interact with others, not through likes or thumbs up, but through physical interaction. Laughing, talking, and enjoy each other's company face to face is essential. Sadly, in an era where the importance of cultivating an inclusive society is heightened, and most of us live in isolation. Such loneliness can lead to anxiety and the development of social phobias. Hmm. Social exclusion is a culprit where people are labeled according to their race, gender, sexual orientation, and other factors. Experiencing alienation based on the labels allotted to us is one of the most distressing actions for the mind to bear. Exclusion on one of these grounds can take many forms: verbal abuse, being made to feel like an outcast, and other, as if often the case in gender identity based biases, characteristics that society deems undesirable or unacceptable. A person's social standing, and judgmental thinking are some. Withdrawing is a symptom of social exclusion. I do that sometimes. You can overcome the trauma of social exclusion by seeking out and forming relationships with people not committed to following the rules of social exclusion, and not striving to fit in, but embracing your individuality and joining support groups to strengthen your resolve to stop being affected by social stigmas. The techniques I will introduce in this following chapter will help you strengthen those resolutions and overcome hurtful and stressful actions through exercises to make your mind stronger, thus becoming self aware and confident. Let's see. The light at the end of the darkness, the light at the end of the dark tunnel, which is hope. Most anxiety disorders are highly treated, and no one needs to suffer in silence. Reaching out for help will give you access to several resources. Being open and accepting your condition and need for your help is the first step. The techniques and resources I will introduce in the following chapters will help you obtain clarity and a strong resolve. And everyone, please, when you come through, hit that like button. I would truly appreciate it. Well, sister, just asking for a like or two or three or four or five, six. Let me stop. Okay. Stronger resolve to fight your anxiety. However, some conditions and situations need further analysis and proper medical diagnosis. Therefore, if your anxiety symptoms are severe, you should visit your healthcare provider for appropriate assessment. How can anxiety be treated? Counseling and therapy, medical diagnosis and medication, mindfulness meditation practices and meditation, physical activities and exercise, lifestyle changes, including accessing one's diet, sleeping habits, and social practices, etc. Grounding techniques. This method distracts your anxious thought. Tools such as sound, sight, and smell are used to create distractions Whenever anxiety, such as panic disorder, takes over, I will explain more about the use and benefits of grounding technique in Chapter 5. Anxieties does not choose. A mental health syndrome affects people regardless of who they are. Wealth, social standing, popularity, etc., are all irrelevant factors when it comes to anxiety. The condition can strike anyone as accumulation of stressful events, inherited characteristics, or the impact of one traumatic episode. What is important is the need to and and because anxiety is a condition of the mind, you can learn to reset your thoughts, decompress, and reduce the stressors and avoid triggers. That is what controlling anxiety is based on. And I'm very excited to start chapter 2, where we unveil anxiety so you can see it is not the monster you perceive it to be, not if you choose for it not to be so. Use the focus journal in chapter 10 to transfer your thoughts to the source outside of your mind, thus preventing yourself from suffocating as your anxiety thoughts and your anxious thoughts come tumbling down one after another. Use the worksheet I have provided to coincide with the technique disorders in this book to find answers to your questions and decipher the root cause of your anxieties and their severities. Now, I would appreciate it, and that is up to everyone or anyone that would choose to do it. If you are that controlling anxiety series is helping you, I would advise you to go on Amazon and order the book Controlling Anxiety by Rebecca Golden. It's 13 different techniques that teach you how to deal with your stress and control your anxiety, especially when it gets out of hand or it's a place where you can't bear it. So, with that, I will say thank you for everyone that stopped by. I hope that you learned something special today. I hope I was helpful. And I hope I gave you a little more insight to anxiety, controlling your anxiety and dealing with depression. Because depression is a lot. It really, really, really is a lot. Um, Give me 1 second because I'm missing something, I think. I think I lost something. No, I don't think I did. Hold on 1 second. I'm about to cry. I'll skip it. I think I might have went on. Hold on, people. I'm about to get upset now. Oh, this might be the added extra. I was about to lose my mind. Y'all, you just have no clue. I promise you have no clue. And I thank y'all. I really do thank y'all for coming through, rocking with me. And again, anyone dealing with anxiety and depression, feel free to come over and go over this book with me. I would appreciate it. I really would. So, next time we will be going over chapter 2. Yes, we'll be going over chapter 2 because that was technically chapter 1. And chapter 2 will be called Good versus Bad. That's what chapter 2 will be on. I hope that y'all have a blessed and wonderful day. Keep me in your prayers as I promise you I will be keeping you in mind. Love up on your family. And I know I haven't said that in a while, but y'all know what I be talking. Y'all know how I go. Love up on your family, love up on your children. Teach your children how to be respectful, how to talk to their adults. Let your children know that it is okay to have feelings and emotions, especially your sons, Because too many people have young men believing they have no right to cry, or that makes them a punk or something like that, and that is stupid. God gave us tear ducts for a reason. God don't make no mistakes. It's all up to us to figure out what we're going to do in life. So make sure that you are telling your family that you love them, giving them patience, love, and honesty, and understanding. Don't allow the world around you to disrupt your peace. With that being said, have a blessed day, beautiful people, and I'll catch y'all on the flip side. It's the Stu Queen be out.
I spent so many nights sleeping on me, but I finally realized I'm all that I need. I'm that girl, been that chick, never needed no one else. I've been that bitch, plenty on my mind, a couple on the side. Baby, I'm a dime, that face card don't decline. So tell me what it's giving, oh, I can tell you're living for this, what you've been missing, boy.